How's everyone doing? I love this song. Half screen. Half screen. Again. We fixed it. I gotta fix that for sure. What a fantastic intro. Like a pro streamer right here. How's everyone doing today? Hi, Russell. How are you? You know what? The stream achieved something amazing today. The stream actually had achieved it yesterday. We're going to look at it really quickly because this was achieved by you guys. And is worth noting that the stream is now secure. We have a secure stream. Observe. We have a secure stream. Right there. 443. Secure stream achieved. Thanks to you guys. Yeah, that's what that one is for. I think that what happened was I have a thing that automatically after the timer ends, I think it's pointing to the wrong scene for some reason. Like it shouldn't be a hard fix. It just points to the wrong scene. We are going to have some guests here soon. Now, the April 19th mega stream, that's actually our first bit of news to talk about. The April 19th mega stream has been postponed. And all about me, not any of the people on the stream that I'm putting all together. It turns out that I thought I had jury duty in March, but I actually have jury duty in April. If you guys don't know, in the US, you have to serve on jury duty. I have to serve. And thus, I can't leave my state like I was planning on doing. So it's going to be in March, sadly. That being said, on April 18th, I'm still going to bring you a stream. It can't be the full length that I wanted it to. I have a special guest still attending that stream. So you should still join. But we are going to do the mega database stream still. It's just going to be in the future. So yeah, guilty for really strangely. They notify you 3 months beforehand and then nothing, absolutely nothing for something that you could get jail time if you accidentally miss. Nothing. So I'm glad I checked on that. Yes, I'm very glad I checked on that. I did think it was next month, but it's this month. So yeah, anyways, so fun little, there is still going to be a guest. I'm still going to do some fun stuff on that day. Hopefully jury duty, like either I'm in a jury and I'm done with it, or I get dismissed and I have that day to stream. Or at least some of it. So we're still gonna have a person. I'm gonna get a schedule out as soon as I can. It's a little fluid because, like I said, I don't know exactly when I will be available. But I'm gonna hopefully have that worked out this upcoming week. After I go in tomorrow. So yeah. Anyways, hopefully after this week I will know better because it will be basically 2 weeks from this last Friday. That's the day. So we're going to have at least one guest. We're going to do some cool stuff on it. The exact timing, I will have to get back to you. If I think that I can make it at noon my time, so like afternoon, evening, your guys' in the European time zone, I will do it. Yeah, anyways. Okay, so let's get into the news. Dude, okay, so talking about laws, I have to serve. And like, I'm happy to serve. I think that being having a jury of your peers is really important. I think that's important. There's many things broken about our system, but that's one thing that I like. So I'm not complaining about that. But our law states that your employer doesn't have to pay you. So if I got sucked into a month-long trial, I don't get paid for a month. I need a bigger Twitch following. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into the news. Okay, so I do apologize. I'm probably this week missing some pieces of the news, and that's mostly because Notion failed me again. And I know that I've talked to you guys about this before, but every once in a while. So I like using Notion to collect the news because it allows me to find stuff on my computer and put it there. It allows me to find stuff on my phone and put it there. My phone probably accounts for like at least 3/4 of the items, maybe only half on some weeks, but it accounts for quite a few of the items. And the fact is, every once in a while on my phone, I will save something to Notion and it will silently fail. And I won't know that it's failed until today. So that being said, it failed again. I'm looking for a solution. I'm looking for something that's not Notion. If you guys have an idea of a thing that I could use, I would love to. Google Keep. I can look at Google Keep. I want something I can use on my computer and my phone. So if Google Keep is one of the things, let me put that down. I tried to do it in Notion, and Notion didn't. Notion didn't keep a list of links very well. Like what I want is really simple. And Obsidian, I said Notion. Obsidian didn't work super well for that. It didn't seem like that. Each week I want to keep a list of links. That's all. Okay. I only need it to be primitive. Literally, each week, I keep a list of links to things that I found interesting. And then on Sunday, I curate that. The other piece of news is the news is going to change. I think I'm going to do it on Friday at lunchtime for me. I've been popularizing this idea. I need Sundays off. I need a single day that is a me day, that I can do whatever I want with my children, and I don't have to worry about preparing something to stream. So I think the news is going to move to Friday at lunch. Stay tuned. I'll do Sunday news again next week. And next week I will announce where it's moving and how it's moving. If you have ideas of when would be great, let me know in the Discord or in the comments. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the first piece of news that we're going to talk about. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, Raj, is I realize that noon Eastern Standard Time might not be perfect for everybody, but I have to have a day off. I have to have a day off, and I work a full-time job that's probably a little bit more than full-time. And I have come to the realization that Sunday is not sustainable for me. As much as I like the time and the timing, Sunday's not sustainable for me. So, will it be 15 minutes late on? Probably not, because what I'll do is I'll do all the preparation the day before. So it probably actually won't be late. It probably won't be late. It won't have Friday news. Like if something happens on Friday, I probably won't be included in it, but it won't be late either. All right, so let's jump into it. The first bit of news blindsided me this week, slapped me in the face, and ruined one of my streams. I have to give out a huge shout out to Apple. Apple released a security update for 17.4.1, and if you're on the auto update, they forced you to install. So even if you were on 17.3, they updated you to 17.4.1. One of those things is if I thumbs up right now, they inject stuff into the video stream and they will crash my stream. Now, so far, I've been unable to disable this feature, so I can't thumbs up still. And so I want to give them a huge shout out for absolutely destroying any reason to use Apple products. Now, I love the Mac Mini as my streaming PC. It takes everything from Linux, and in general, these types of things work better on Apple or Windows. But good job, Apple. Good job. This is a complete nightmare. Complete nightmare. Raj, it might be the lib XY or XZ thing. Absolutely. And I'm glad for the security update. I hate that they try to put a thumbs up in my video when I thumbs up. And we're not talking about FaceTime. We're talking about they inject this on any video feed coming into the OS platform. It's terrifying why they would think that was a good idea. Lib thumbs up. Okay, so I had to dig at Apple one more time because I'm like livid about this. This isn't really about the news. It is probably the lib XZ for sure. They did an emergency update, and you probably should be on it. I'm just upset that they decided that this was a good feature for an OS to do. Please, if you're a PM at Apple, please give me a call. I can give you valuable advice of what an OS should and shouldn't do. All right, let's talk about security like we should. This one was brought up by the community. Want to give a huge shout out. I believe it was Russell that brought it up. If you are using SQLite, which SQLite is a fantastic piece of tooling, there is a new and upcoming one that we might have to do a review that's not SQLite, but there was a CVE 2022 here that I didn't really realize was a thing. And I just wanted to throw out that it was a thing. So you can go check it out. But yeah, July 2022. So if you're patching and you're keeping up to date, you should be safe. But it's a really interesting breakdown of how they got into the bug and everything. So I thought, even though it's old news, I thought that if you wanted to, if this type of stuff interests you, it's a really good read. It's a really good breakdown of how they found the bug, what the vulnerability is, and how you could exploit it. So anyways, if you're even moderately up to date, you should be fine. You should be fine, but it's definitely worth a read. Definitely worth a read. The other security piece of news is it's time to switch to a privacy browser. This was the only other thing that I found. I don't know about you guys. I use Edge. Those were all my security. Now, I find most of my security things on my phone, and I couldn't find other major things for software engineers. If you guys know of one, please let me know in the chat right now, and we'll do the community ones. Like I said, this is the second time. For those of you who've been here for a while, I'm sure you remember the last time. I was pretty upset then. It's why I've started using Obsidian, which I do like Obsidian for everything else. It's not as good for just keeping a list of links. But not that I found. Maybe there's a plugin for it. All right, we have some cool stuff for open source. Then I have a section. That we're going to call Why I Never Look at Source Available Code. Now, that's going to be kind of fun. There's some drama in the open source community around this. And Firefox to fight big browser. I'll have to give Firefox. I heard Firefox added tab groups. I'll have to give it a try. The plugin I was using on Firefox to do tab groups just was unstable. Not Firefox's fault, except they didn't have tab groups. All right, so let's talk open source. I actually saw some really cool stuff happening in open source. And the first one we're going to talk about is AMD. AMD is to open source the micro engine scheduler firmware for its Radeon GPUs. That's after they have started talking about they're going to make their GPUs more open source. They're talking about the firmware for the GPUs, as well as this micro engine scheduler. So I think that this is actually a really good point. Now, this is not me saying that I think AMD is the good guys here. They're looking for an edge versus NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been way worse than AMD about open source and things like that. And I think that this is, this is their political game that they're playing to buy them an edge versus AMD for machine learning things. I think that this is really cool, though, and I'm really excited about it. There's nothing right now that's going to be able to happen from this, but the fact that this is happening and they're moving in this direction, I think, is really exciting. I know last week we talked about a open source GPU that somebody created, which was really cool. So yeah, anyways, I'm excited about this. I'm excited. This was submitted by... This was submitted by the community. I actually think this is a really cool project. Was CrabViz. Is an LSP-based graph call graph generator. We're gonna try this out on stream. It's a cool open source project, and I'm excited about it. So basically, it uses the LSP to build a call graph of your code. So it takes your code and builds this call graph out of it. This and lets you visualize it. Now there's a lot of things that you can do with this. One, for me, export call graphs as SVGs. This actually is going to, for me, as like an educator where I'll try to do some of these things, I think that this could be massively huge when I try to talk about things like cyclical complexity or other type of things. Recursion was another one that made me think of this type of thing. So I'm super excited about this. So anyways, I believe this one was also given to us by Russell. So thank you so much for showing this to us. Did I put this in the? Yeah, I did. Okay. How's everyone doing? All right, let's jump into the next bit of open source here. Let's do it. Highlights of Git 2.44. Most of us use Git at this point. There are still some other ways to manage your source code, including zip files, but Git is a major leader in that. And Git 2.44 was just released. This is a really great, fantastic blog by GitHub on the release of it. I don't know. I went through and reviewed this. I don't know that this release really affects you as an engineer directly. I don't use a quarter of the features of Git anyhow. I'm very simplistic Git user. But there are some nice things, like that should be sped up as their wire protocol is a little bit faster now. So Git should be a little bit faster. There's faster rebases. So there are things that are nice about it. So I think you should read it. I never get into the place where rebasing takes that long or anything like that. So again, maybe not the most major thing, but it's good to be informed of it. I'm not going to go through and read the whole thing. There's quite a bit that's involved in it, but if that's interesting to you, yeah. I don't know. Would you guys like to do like thorough reviews? I could do random strings. So I don't love reaction content where I like read a blog post or whatnot. And not specifically to react, but to give an opinion and discuss maybe. I've seen some stuff by like Glitchbyte that I actually really loved reviewing live. But there are things like this. Would you guys like to go through, have a stream where we just go through the new release and talk about the new things and maybe even try them out? Would that be interesting? Because we could do that. And we probably would learn a thing or two about Git anyways. Like Git reply. What is it? Why would we use it? How does it make it faster? And things like that. I didn't know. I didn't know if that would be a good learning experience or not. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Our move to generate SDKs. Now, why is this in open source? Well, first, GitHub makes all of their SDKs open source, so you can use their open source. But they're changing tactics here and using a project that I didn't know about until reading their blog post. I don't know how to pronounce this. Kilota? Not sure. Not sure how to pronounce it. This is a open source project by Microsoft, released under the MIT license. And the whole idea of this is a command line tool for generating API clients to call an open API described API you are interested in. So basically, this tool is there to call open API endpoints based off of a spec. And now GitHub is actually generating their clients using this tool. So I'm going to release this to you guys. I think it's very interesting. The one thing that's interesting about me, or the thing to me that's interesting about this, is that they didn't use Copilot. They didn't use Copilot and some combination of AI to do this. They're using good old-fashioned code generation, leveraging this. So now their Go's and .NET SDKs are completely done this way. It's a very interesting technique. I've never used it, but it's an interesting thing. The code generation that you've always gotten from Swagger has always been really terrible. You can use it as like a shell at best and go for there, but it's usually not a great way to interface with the API. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, Temporis, I completely agree. Copilot is just their baby, right? And I think that it actually shows that the limitations of the AIs because they specifically didn't use it. So when you have a tool and you specifically don't use it, when in theory you could, it speaks to its capabilities. I don't know that I explained that very well, but that was why I was pulling that out as an interesting fact. Anyways, I haven't gotten to look into it. I just saw it this week and read through the high level of it, but I haven't actually gone and checked out their Go and .NET SDKs. I find this interesting. So I guess what it does is it gives them the power to not only generate the majority of it, but also layer on the very specific stuff that they wanted to make a really nice API. So it's not just the dumb generated one, and it was a lot faster. So yeah. So anyways, this was interesting on many levels because I feel like it's a new way of interfacing with open API APIs, as well as it's interesting on their choice of tool to do this. This API generates a HTTP 703 error. I'm sorry, Hal. I can't do that. All right. We have one section called drama, and then we have the cloud-based section. This drama is about, and I'm going to mark this because I'm probably going to clip it. Let's see, marker. I know I actually have some clips that I need to post, and I haven't posted purely because I have been busy making the one YouTube video that I did. Marker, why I don't look at source available code. All right. Welcome, everyone. Today, I want to talk about why I personally don't look at source available code. This is not me saying that I have a moral issue with source available code. I don't. I don't have a moral, ethical, or any problem like that with source available code. And I don't have a problem with a company that wants to release their code as source available. I do have a reason for open source developers that I think is important why you shouldn't be looking at source available code. A reason why you probably should avoid touching it, opening it, cloning it, or doing anything like that. I'm going to dive into one of those reasons, and this is one of the only times I personally have ever looked at source available code. And I looked at a very specific subsection of it that was covered originally under not a source available, but a Mozilla license. And this is the only time I have ever looked at anything even adjacent to it. So what and why are we talking about this? Well, a couple months ago, we had HashiCorp change their licensing from the Mozilla to non-open source and a source available license. Just a couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, Redis followed suit and did the same thing. We can see here, we have a news articles on Redis licensing change, forking RMS. You can find a whole bunch of information on that. But that's not really what we want to talk about. We want to talk about why we don't look at that. Well, here's a post. Now, I don't personally follow Matt, but this article by InfoWorld is kind of a mess, and we're going to talk about it. OpenTofu may be showing us the wrong way to fork. Disagree with a license? Fork the project, but don't lift the code and say it was publicly available. Compare HashiCorp's code and license to OpenTofu's version. Now, I'm still surprised this is available. I'm surprised I didn't have to go to the time machine to pull this article up. It's still available. And not only that, but we'll find out later, the OpenTofu project, the Linux Foundation, was served a cease and desist. Now, I couldn't actually get my hands on the cease and desist letter. If you guys have it, that'd be great. But it's well known that they have a cease and desist from HashiCorp. Now, let's read through this. OpenTofu founders had a mission. Upset by HashiCorp's licensing changes in 2023, its popular Terraform infrastructure as code tool, OpenTofu set out to be the open source successor to the MPL v2 licensed Terraform. Further promising, it will be community-driven, impartial, layered, and modular, and backwards compatible. Hugely promising, but extraordinarily difficult to pull off. So difficult, in fact, that OpenTofu may have illegally taken HashiCorp's code to keep pace. Now, this is a claim that's been made. At least it had to avoid that conclusion. At least it's hard to avoid that conclusion, pursuing the OpenTofu GitHub repository and comparing them to HashiCorp. Specifically, OpenTofu appears to have lifted Terraform code related to the new remove block feature, first implemented in Terraform v17.7. All right, we can read this. We can read this, but I want to get into the smoking gun here. I want to get into the smoking gun because I actually did research. I actually read a copious amount of code in OpenTofu here. So OpenTofu, they're talking about this. And now you can look in here. There's a bunch of things in here. And there's something interesting about this code here. Now, you'll notice one of the things that they put through is this MPL2 header. OpenTofu puts this on absolutely every single file for legal reasons. They give HashiCorp credit for the things that they... So one of the things the article talks about is this header, and that's just not a smoking gun because it's on every single file. You'll notice 2013 because they don't have any code from 2014 or 2024. That being said, I went through and read OpenTofu code. Do you want to know what is really interesting about this code block in remove.go? So if you go back here, they're talking about remove.go, and that's all that they look at. That's all that they look at. But do you know what is really interesting about this remove.go? It's almost the exact same code as moved.go. So we can go here. Move.go is something that was originally there from the old times. This goes back well before. Move.go goes well back before but the code is effectively the same. The code is effectively, there's obviously changes. There's obviously difference in it, but it's effectively the same struct type with just the removed endpoint. It's very, very boilerplate code. This is sometimes the boilerplate code that any software engineer has had to do, especially in a language that has notoriously not supported generics very well. This is a pretty standard thing. Now, the thing is, the claim, and this is the only Terraform code that I have looked at that is source available. The removed code looks very similar to the removed code that is in the new OpenTofu. And it's a stupid name. I hate the name OpenTofu. I hope they rename it. Anyways, it's very close. The removed.go in OpenTofu is very close to the removed code in Terraform. But it's all the same code, copied and pasted from the original move.go, just with a few things adjusted. It's the same code. This was a copy from move.go. Again, not a very good and thorough investigation. And the thing is that I think the author of the thing, and maybe HashiCorp itself is we all learn from the code that we're in, and we do. So they have found a way to deal with these things. And I don't know Terraform code that well, but in this folder here, all of these things are similar. They do all of the same similar stuff. They all are doing, similar stuff. And they found a pattern that they use, and they're using that same pattern again. The code is not the exact same. It's not a one-for-one copy. It's not the exact same, but it is very similar because it's all similar to the code that's already been in here. They have a very similar way of testing all of this stuff because it's all similar. So each one of these has the same set of tests that they do and they go through. So yes, is the code similar? Yes, it is. I looked through and diffed the two. I could not find anything that said this was a straight copy. Is it very similar? Yes, it is. And I would expect it to be very similar. And this brings me to my point. This is why you never look at source available code. And this is why if I was to talk to a company that wanted to go source available, I would warn them it will kill your community. If you care about community, if you've made statements about community, I can't be a part of that community. And the reason I can't be a part of that community is it opens me up to law, and this is not legal advice, but it opens me up to legal accusations for any open source project because I found a pattern that I liked and my mind remembers that pattern. I might not even remember where I found that pattern or first learned of that pattern. And wrote similar code. Whether it's a valid lawsuit or not, it opens you up if they know that you've downloaded and looked at that code. I am now, for exactly configs and remove, I'm liable. If I write code that looks similar to this, HashiCorp could go after me because I have publicly said that I have looked at, internal configs removed. Now, I will also make the statement I haven't looked at anything else in Terraform for a reason. For a reason. I will stay away from those things. HashiCorp is more than welcome to take OpenTofu's code because it's under the MPL license. They would have to give credit. And if they didn't give credit where they took MPL 2 code, the Linux Foundation could serve them with a cease and desist and ask them to put the correct thing on there. And that's fine. They just say, hey, we need this header put in there that says where you got the code from. And HashiCorp's more than welcome to slap this in their file and copy and paste the code. Sorry, this right here. They're more than welcome to slap this in there. That's what this is doing. This is saying we borrowed moved from the HashiCorp thing. They're acknowledging that they took patterns and ideas from the originally 2013 or 2023 MPL version 2. Now, again, whether it's valid or not, I don't look at source available, and I think it kills your community. Because if you're an open source developer, you put every single project that you work on at risk if you are known or traced to have seen source available code. So don't do it. That's my statement. The other thing, and just to talk a little bit about the article that was written, I did a little bit more investigation, trying to do a thorough investigation for you guys. And if you go and look through here, they don't actually even review the pull request that was made and anything like that, which I did. If you're writing this and making the accusation that if you're making this accusation, you should go and search through the pull request. So you can go look at the pull request. This is obviously, there was like 4 files that are similar. This is not a copy and paste. It is not, by far. We can go through this piece by piece. I spent like an hour and a half going through just the pull request, understanding it a little bit more. And just reading the type of stuff that went into this. There's a lot of other stuff that's not even found to support this in the HashiCorp version of it. Okay? I'm not an investigative journalist by any means, but I wanted to do my best for you guys. There are a couple files that are very similar. They're not perfect copy and pastes. They're very, very similar. That's the point. They're very similar because there was already a pre-established way of dealing with this. And I'm very disappointed in HashiCorp for releasing a cease and desist on something they obviously also didn't do the proper investigation into. I'm not an investigative journalist. I don't do this type of thing, although this was kind of fun. I admit I probably should have done it on stream. It was kind of fun to dig into. I don't do this type of thing, and it's not even my code, but it was fairly easy for me to come to the conclusion that this didn't violate their license, or at least not the spirit of their license. It's also worrisome that when an open source project wants to consolidate copyright under a single entity, as it gives them the ability to switch to source available later because a contributor is given the right to the code. Yeah. Does OpenTofu represent a real risk to HashiCorp? I don't know. I've been watching generally the forks of projects. This is the thing. Generally, I say no. And the issue is, if OpenTofu is a real threat, it means that having your project open source was a real threat. But if OpenTofu isn't a real threat, then also your open source project and leaving it open source wasn't a real threat. My poison Kate would be something point in case, talking too fast for my own good. My point in case here would be something like OpenSearch. OpenSearch, or, is a hard fork. And the commercial product of it is doing just fine, even though there's a hard fork that is open source. And people use the open source version just as much as they use the non-open source version. So no, I don't know that these are real. I don't know. I have a gut feeling. The answer is no, but that's a gut feeling. Rumors are HashiCorp is looking for a buyer. And yeah, this makes them look good to buyers maybe, but it looks really bad in the community sense. To me, HashiCorp was actually a company I almost went and worked for. I thought that their work on Nomad was really cool and interesting. And at this point, it's tarnished their entire reputation. Unfortunately. That being said, my final words here for you guys is I don't look at source available code. I literally don't. I don't look under the SSPL. I don't look under, even though the SSPL is more open source than some other source availables. It's not open source, but it's really, really close. I don't, because I can't use that license, and I don't want to have to deal with somebody going after me for it. So, anything that's under the SSPL, anything that's under, don't look at its code. And I'm being serious. If you're an open source developer, you put your project or anybody else's project you commit code to at risk if you're known to look at them. So the best is just to stay away from them. All right. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. That was a bit of a rant. Sorry about that. I thought that it would be a good one because I do think that people don't necessarily think about that when they're looking at source available code and the implications of it. Oh no, it thumbs up. I hate Apple. It didn't crash this time though. It didn't crash. What? Yeah. Did I accidentally thumbs up? It doesn't even get it every single time I do it. It's such a dented system. Apple, I can't code. Couldn't code themselves out of wet paper bag. I know that they have talented engineers. I'm really frustrated with this system. I don't even know what it detected as a thumbs up. I wasn't thumbs upping. I was angry. Yeah. Anyways. Well, it didn't crash, so that's good. I'll give you a thumbs up, Apple. Good job not crashing this time. Okay, let's get into the cloud news. I'll stop boring you guys with my personal recommendation is not to touch source available and not to have your fingerprints on it. Or Macs. Yeah, that's a good, you know what? The next time I bought, I didn't have a streaming PC. I had the Mac Mini because I wanted to try to do a Kubernetes cluster on Mac Minis because I thought that would be the most efficient hardware I could run a cloud on. And it turns out that you can't really do that on a Mac Mini. So I kind of gave up on that project. So I had this Mac Mini, and it turned out to be a fantastic streaming computer for the most part. I still haven't figured out how to turn it off, but I'm working on turning that feature off. Tell you what, if I buy a streaming PC, it will not be a Mac Mini. It will not be a Mac. All right, let's talk about cloud news. Wait. Yes, it opens up the pathways to services that were being built on the back of Terraform. One of the factors that sent them into this path, those services were competing with paid for. You're right, Russell. There was definitely a few services, I forget them off the top of my head, I don't use them, that leveraged Terraform. But they can use open tofu. So I guess the project does emit risk to them. Yes. I mean, AWS has a Terraform. AWS built their own Terraform. And if you're only... So the thing about AWS's Terraform, and I'll tell you its name in just a second. The thing about AWS's Terraform is that it's for AWS. They do no work to support AWS's Terraform on anywhere else. Right? They don't do any work to... They don't do any work to support GCP or whatnot, right? So AWS has something called CloudFormation, which is just a AWS specific open Terraform for AWS. Google has Google Cloud Run, which is a very Google specific Terraform. Azure has DevOps pipelines or something. I don't know Azure. So Azure has something, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. I don't know what it is. I think it's called DevOps pipelines or something like that. They need a better name. And then even on top of that, AWS has the CDK, right? They have the AWS CDK that allows you to do those types of things as well. Monetization is hard. It's difficult. And I won't sit here and tell them that monetization isn't hard or difficult, because they're stuck in a catch-22. They're stuck in a catch-22. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's see, Acceladra. They're stuck in a catch-22. Terraform became popular because of its community. And it only got its community because it was open source. So, and this is a really hard thing for developer tools. It's a really hard problem for developer tools, because I like building things like open developer tools. I would love to build Legion and make it a profitable thing. And I would love to make Legion an open source project for people to use. But then how do you monetize it? And how do you keep people from taking that open source thing that you built a community around? It's a very hard problem. It really is. And I don't envy them. Now, what they decide to do is they decide to trash their community. And I think that's a kind of a sucky way to do it. I think that's a kind of sucky way to do it. They could have gone with the AGPL. It's not my favorite, but you could have gone with the AGPL and done effectively the same thing that you did with your SSPL, but maintained an open source license. People would have avoided it still. Companies would have, because it still introduces risks, but you could have done it. Now, again, I don't want to discount the making money, because they have engineers and their engineers need paid. Their employees need paid. They have infrastructure. They have stuff. And they have built some awesome code that is amazing that the community loves and uses. So it's a hard problem. I just wish that they wouldn't pick the let's trash our community. And I don't think a source available license, an SA license is the way to go. Because I think that they pick this source available license because they think it will keep their community. They think that they can still have a community with a source available license when the fact is you can't have a community with a source available license because of what is happening. If you have a source available and you think that they've done this, you have a legal obligation to protect your IP to file a cease and desist. Because if you don't, you can use that argument to say, well, you knew that we stole some of your code beforehand and we did nothing about it. And you can actually use that as a legal thing to keep stealing their code. So if they even think that you're stealing their code and you're leveraging it and you're copying it, they are legally obligated to send you a cease and desist. And because of that, source available destroys your community. And that's the sad fact of it. That's just, and so I don't sit here telling you have all the answers. And monetizing open source is difficult. And I've always said that open source isn't about monetizing your code. It's a distribution. It's not a business model. You need a solid business model that's not distributing open source code. Again, hard problem. I'm not going to sit here and say, some are doing pretty well under the AGPL. The AGPL protects them from big clouds like Amazon, but doesn't suffer all the same issues. You can still have a community. It does limit some corporate ones, but I think it's far better. It's far better. Tilter, welcome to the community. I'm happy to review code. You can send me code on the Discord server. I'll review it. If you want me to do it live on stream, I'll do a stream reviewing your code. Happy to. Don't know what it is. As long as it's open source, I'll do it. I won't watch. I won't look at source available. Temporous, thank you so much for the subscription. I really mean it. You guys help me do this, bring you guys this code. If you guys would like me to do the investigation, if another investigation comes up like I did with the HashiCorp stuff, would you guys like me to do these investigations live on stream? They're not necessarily the most interesting thing. They are me trying to understand what happened, asking questions, clicking on stuff, reading some code, trying to understand where and what it came from. If you guys would like that, maybe I did you guys a disservice. Did you guys a disservice. Cool. We're doing the news right now, Tilter. So I won't do it right now, but I will do a stream about it. Or I will do it on a stream next week. Happy to review code. Okay, I'll do that, Temporous. The next time an investigation like this comes up, I'll make a stream investigating it. And we'll see how you guys let me know if you like those streams or if you're like, no, this sucks. Please be honest. I love the feedback. So if I do a stream that I think would be fun and it's not fun, be like, hey, Merrick, I don't think that these streams are very fun. And because it's really hard. I could have 20 viewers watch me do something not fun because that's when they're on and there's nobody else to watch. And then I could have 2 viewers watch me when there's something really interesting going on. And it's just that those 20 viewers had other things to do in life. So it's very hard for me to actually look at the viewers as like maybe over years, if I could do that and keep all that data, I could actually see patterns. But for the most part, I can't actually tell if it was the timing for the people viewing or not. So anyways, please leave me the feedback on what you find fun and not fun or interesting or what you learned with or not learned with. Let's get on to the cloud news. We have some cloud news. Right, Temporous. Everybody's time zones are a little bit different, and so it makes it very difficult. Cloud news. AWS only had one thing. GCP actually released more than I thought, but we have a big one in here. Cloudflare released quite a bit of stuff. They had their developer week, and so we're going to look at that. And GCP this upcoming week is their developer conference, their next conference. So I actually expect to see a lot next weekend from GCP. And yeah, so let's jump into this. Oh my freaking goodness. I hate Apple. I will fix that. I will fix that if it means I have to go buy a new computer and explain to my wife that I bought a $1,000 computer to stream because this one keeps putting thumbs ups on my stupid OBS. And it's not an OBS plugin, mind you. At least it's not crashing. At least it's not crashing. All right, let's jump into it. Amazon SageMaker Studio Code Editor now supports custom images. So this is actually kind of a big deal if you've ever actually used SageMaker Studio. It now supports custom images to extend additional machine learning frameworks and libraries. So originally you were just stuck with what was there. And this is actually a huge deal. It's why I'm bringing it up. This is actually a huge deal. It expands SageMaker quite a bit. I think that this makes it much more viable. If you're using a different framework than they were, you were basically just out of luck, and you're not out of luck now. Raj, I would definitely get something like that if I would. Like I said, this was a computer that I had laying around in the house because it didn't fill the need that I was trying to use it for. If I go to buy something, it would not be an M1 at this point. Nope. I also want something that will do AV1 encoding, better quality stream. So yeah, if I buy something, yeah. All right. So anyways, I think this is a big deal. If you're using SageMaker, you should definitely look into this because it actually opens up SageMaker quite a bit. That was it for AWS. AWS has been quiet the last couple weeks, actually. So I'm looking forward to seeing something big come from them as they've been quiet. Let's talk about Cloudflare. First big news about Cloudflare was they entered the observability market with the acquisition of Enhanced Serverless Performance. So they're looking to get into the observability market, which maybe is going to give Datadog some run for their money. That's what I'm seeing here. Generally, I think Cloudflare has a very well priced to what you get thing. And you know, to be fair to Datadog, they also provide something that you can't get anywhere else. That's why people pay for them. So there is a reason to use Datadog. They have some really cool features in there that you can leverage. But it's good to see some competition heating up. And Cloudflare usually does things really well. I generally like how they do things. So I'm excited to see that. That being said, their releases didn't stop there. Browser rendering API, GA, is rolling out. So I talked about their browser rendering API earlier, and it's rolling out. So it's been out there for a little bit. It allows developers to programmatically control and interact with a headless browser instance to create automation flows and whatnot. So this is coming out in GA, so that's pretty nice. If you need that. I know like there's sometimes when you really need to browse a headless browser, and having something out there is nice. So today we take browser rendering one step further, taking it out of beta, making it available to all paid worker plans. Unfortunately, it's not in the free plan, anything free, but if you're paying for their workers, it's there. Yeah, and they're enhancing their API to introducing new features that we'll be discussing a long time in the open beta community. Session management. Session management allowed developers to reuse previously open browsers across worker scripts. This is pretty huge. So in their release of GA, they're releasing this session management, which allows different workers to access the same session. You could almost think of this as Tmux for your headless browsers. I thought it was actually pretty cool. I didn't even think about this as a thing. But it is a thing, and it's a pretty cool thing. So I'm kind of happy. I'm very happy. It's an interesting thing. I don't even have a use case for it right now, but that's a pretty cool feature. extended the analytics and logs that you can get from your headless browsers, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's move on. Let's move on because they have more millions of cascading trees all the way down. All right, what is this? WebRTC. So back in 2022, they released their WebRTC, and it's been in this private beta for a long time. They had a bunch of scaling issues. It's actually worth a read if you don't have it. It's definitely worth a read and an interesting topic, but it's coming along. It's coming along. So if you're interested, it's now in public beta, right? It's in public beta now. Well, I don't know, but WebRTC is what a lot of people build their voice call systems out of and chat systems. It's what you leverage for that real-time communication, UDP. Anyways, it's coming along. I think it's in public beta now. Anyways, I'm excited about that. There's so many possibilities with something like that. And the last thing, R2 adds event notification support for migrations from Google Cloud storage. So we know we talked about how a while ago, if you actually quit Google Cloud altogether, they'll waiver your fees after you've paid for them and after you've left their cloud, which is a little weird because they pay you back in credits, which are hard to spend on a cloud that you've left. But that's not the problem. The cool thing is R2 now has support for migrations for it. So if you're looking to migrate to something like Cloudflare, this is more of a possibility today. And that's it for Cloudflare. Let's move on to Azure. The only thing that has hardware AV1 support at the time is the latest GFX cards. But I believe there's some AMD CPUs that have it, I think. But even if they don't, the Intel GPUs support AV1 encoding, which is cool. So I could do like a little AV1 on Linux, maybe. I don't know. It's not much of a streaming box, though, if it's that big. So I'm not building one right now, and I have to save up some money to get a streaming PC. But as soon as I do, we'll make a stream of setting it up and what I pick to use it. What I pick to use. All right. Azure. Action recommended. Prepare for model vision requirement in Azure OpenAI. So I said requirement. I meant retirement. Reading is one of those things that I'm not great at. But they are retiring the Azure OpenAI. You are going to need to migrate. So this is not getting rid of this support. Basically, why I'm bringing this up is there is the new preview of Azure OpenAI and AI search in app connectors. So you're going to be able to migrate on date. Oh, great. This is fantastic. On date, we'll be updating the Azure OpenAI deployments that use to stop I don't know what you need to, but you need to use this model and this version on this date. I can't even help you. Never mind. Well, there's an update that you're going to need to do at some date in the future, hopefully the future, maybe it was today, but on some date, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to update from this old version to a newer version, and it's going to stop working. So if you stop working, you should update to the new model, okay? Sorry, I can't give you more information. I didn't do an investigation on this. This is all I know, and I've given it to you. Happy birthday. All right, I'm moving on because I don't know anymore. I thought it was important for you to know that the OpenAI vision model is getting retired on some date. The public preview of Azure OpenAI and OpenAI Search in App Connectors for Logic apps is coming out. So that's something you can use in your Logic apps if you are using those. And the general availability of AKS cost views. So just a way, I know like a year ago, AWS started releasing, not AWS, Azure. I'm sorry, AWS, please keep sending me those checks. They don't pay me, just so you guys know, that was a joke. Azure has been releasing things to help you understand your cost, and they have now released their general availability for their AWS or their AKS cost views for AKS. So if you're trying to understand the cost of your AKS clusters, this gives you better visibility. They have granular. I hate the term granular because what does granular mean? I don't know. I haven't used it, but it's there. You can use it. You'll make sure to set your reminder to date. Perfect. Perfect, Mod Prog. It's good to see you. If you make money to switch, Amazon is paying. Nobody is paying me. This news is not sponsored by anybody, especially not HashiCorp. Moving on to GCP. Now, I didn't actually expect to find anything interesting from GCP this week because GCP's Next is going on this week. So I expected a lot more news to be released next week on what GCP, but GCP actually released some interesting things. Introducing Security Command Center Enterprise, the first multi-cloud risk management solution using AI-powered SecOps with cloud security. So basically, they hotwired Copilot, actually probably Gemini, into their command center, and you can use this on their Arc, which allows you to, I think, wait, no. Theirs isn't Arc. It's Azure Arc, which is the one that's multi-cloud. Holy crap. Now I just lost my GCP funding as well. I will remember their multi-cloud platform thing as soon as I read it here. I'm looking for it. GCP Next to be retired. GCP Next to be, that needs to be a t-shirt. I'm going to put that in my t-shirt collection. I have a couple t-shirts. I'm going to try to get an artist to make some t-shirts for us. That one needs to be it. GCP Next to be retired is fantastic. Anthos, that's what I was trying to think of. Thank you, Raj. So anyways, this is able to be used. I don't know. I actually thought that I actually proposed this thought to Thor. He didn't reply to me, Pirate Software, because what I proposed was a new anti-cheat that's not kernel level, that was actually AI and behavior. So basically, you just have an AI that checks behavior. I thought that was a cool idea for an anti-cheat. That doesn't need kernel level anything on your system, because all it is behavioral analysis for your online game. You're just watching behavior and flagging possible cheaters based off of statistical analysis. I think that's actually what AI would be super powerful at. So I actually think that this is a really cool way of leveraging AI, because if you look at what powers ML, it's really advanced statistical analysis based off of a ton of data. And I think that AI would give you a really powerful way to catch things you never thought to write a rule about, to flag things you never thought to write a rule or to check for, to look for anomalies in your system. When you see AI, I read statistical anomaly detection, and I think it's a really powerful tool for it. So I'm actually really excited about this. I haven't used it. I don't know if it works really well or not, but it's out and released. Using AIs to catch criminals is the theme of some animes. Okay, well. All right. So you can read about their threat detection here. I got this because I was reading up on it. So I'm gonna give this to you guys. Raj, I would say that you definitely should wait for the new 14th gen laptops with AI registers because I'd like to know. That's a super set. Don't ask me. I always want to know. I can't afford to buy a new laptop right now, but if I could, I want to know. Maybe they're amazing. Maybe they're terrible. The thing is, statistical analysis has been at your CPU for a long time. So the word AI means nothing to me. If you're talking about, let's talk about the biggest security vulnerabilities in your CPU right now were from their statistical analysis. So basically, your CPU pre-catches memory because memory is slow. So it makes guesses at what the fork is, and it gets really good at guessing which way logic is going to fork, and it pre-pulls stuff. And this was Spectre and Meltdown, was you could actually harness that pre-caching, that selection of memory that it's doing, and that's statistical analysis. So statistical analysis has been on your CPU for much longer than you want to think about. So I'm not saying it's not cool, but because they labeled it AI, it's still doing the same thing. Now, those registers are probably a little bit smarter. They probably pre-do some stuff that they can guess is going to happen. Absolutely. Those are the branch prediction vulnerabilities. And that branch prediction is statistical analysis of what happens. 100%. It's cool technology, but that's AI. Sorry for another little rant. Back to the news. All right. The last thing is about the GKE compliance dashboard. Now, if you're fully running in GKE, this might help you. Compliance is a huge pain in script. But that being said, most companies have to go through it at some point or another. So if you're looking at compliance, if you're on GKE, this looks interesting. Now, what I went through looking at it, misspoke. When I went through looking at it, it didn't look like you could leverage it like if you weren't fully on GKE. But it looked very interesting on making it not as nearly as painful. They have their Beyond Corp, which is their zero trust. So if you used GKE compliance dashboard with Beyond Corp, I think, and we're just on GKE or GKE, I think it's a really powerful thing. Now that's super limiting, and I realize that limits out a ton of people, but I think it's a cool concept. And that's it. That is it. Did I miss anything? Was there any other major news out there that you guys demand to be alerted of that you could drop in the links right now and I'll show it? For those of you joining the news, this is the last time that we will be doing it at this is not the last time. Next week is the last time we'll be doing it on Sunday. I haven't exactly locked down exactly when we're doing it. Most likely high noon. I'm sorry. We had a discussion on high noon, but high noon on Fridays. I'm not telling you the time zone. You're going to have to guess that. You're going to have to figure that out. I will be posting in the Discord when it's locked down with every time zone so everybody can figure it out. Hopefully it works out well for everybody. I know I'm being a little bit selfish because it's going to work better for me. It's going to give me a day off that I really, really honestly need. I actually love doing this, so I'm not burned out in any way, but I've got burned out on life because I never have that day off. It's hard to plan stuff, so it's a little bit of a me thing, but yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Next week, we'll do the news on Sunday. As always, I want to give a couple people, a chance to get the news because not everybody gets to join every single time. We need new keyboard layout news. You know what? I've been really busy the last 2 weeks, and I haven't been practicing Colmac. I'm at like 25 words per minute with the home row plus the D and H plus D and H, home row plus D and H. And I haven't expanded beyond that. And that's my bad. I haven't been practicing. I knew somebody was going to ask me about it. I've been using this keyboard and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not, I'm not perfect with it yet. I'm still playing around with the layers a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking the keyboard though. I'm liking the keyboard. I'm especially excited. I'm going to be taking this keyboard with me to go to do that big mega stream. So I'm going to get to report on how it does as a travel keyboard. I think it's going to do really well since it's so thin. I think that traveling with this is going to be pretty fantastic. So I'm excited about that because I've always hated it when I go and travel. I get like a office membrane keyboard and it's just terrible. So I'm excited about having the things that I like there. So anyways, that's the news on that. That's the news on that. The keyboard, fantastic. Me learning Colmac. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm proof of that. I'm proof of that. I'm fully on the split. And I'm like 70 words per minute, which is actually a little bit faster than I read. So I'm actually beating physics. There. It's because if there's a sentence, I've gotten... Okay, so I'm kind of like a processor in that because I have issues reading and I have strong issues reading. And you'll notice this if I'm reading something, I actually prefetch words. So I've gotten really good at inferring what comes next in a sentence. And so I actually basically do a really good job of guessing words ahead of time. I probably actually read something like 30 or 40 words per minute. And it's just, I'm not a good reader. I get it. I read really slowly, but I'm really good at guessing words ahead of time. But sometimes I make hilarious mistakes because of that. I'm pre-catching words just like your CPU pre-catches memory. Catches is not the right word. Prefetch. I prefetch words in my head as I'm going through, and I validate. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong. Sometimes it does. I am hackable. I am 100% hackable. If you wrote an article for me, I am 100% hackable because I don't read every single word. And I would be hackable. I believe you could engineer an article where I read it completely different than it actually was. I think that's a true statement. Very true statement. If somebody does this, if somebody engineers an article for my brain, like that would be super epic. Super epic. I would be tickled about that. Yeah. I'm not at a place in work where I can bite that bullet, and I have a lot of crap to do. I can't bite that bullet right now. So I got to learn a little bit slower. Maybe if there's a calm period in time when I can bite that bullet and just go straight Colmac, I'm fine on split. Split's nothing to me. If I can bite the Colmac and take a hit to my efficiency, I'll do it. I'm not in a point in my life where I can do that right now, but yeah. All right. Last thing, streams next week. I'm hoping to stream as normal throughout next week. Who knows, though? I'm part of jury duty. Court closes at 5 p.m., so I probably should be, but who knows if I'm like on a really exhausting trial and I'm not allowed to talk about it, I might not feel like streaming. Who knows? I don't know. Most likely, I won't get picked. Engineers aren't picked very often because they're not manipulatable. So I probably won't be part of a trial, which probably means I'll be super exhausted from sitting at court for 3 hours waiting to not be picked and then come home and do a full day's work. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see how it goes. I do have jury duty next week. And that's it. All right, I'm done. You've been switching back and forth, Russell. I've been I only do it when like I go to the Colmac testing game. So I go to the Colmac club and I only switch when I'm here. So I only switch when I'm here. And so far it hasn't been too bad. But again, yeah, I'm on level 2. I'm on level 2. Okay, but I haven't even practiced for like 2 weeks, so I'm not going to do this live. I need to get back to it as soon as life calms down. Just keep saying guilty. Look, I actually think it's a really important system, and I wish it was better supported because I think it's a really important system. Like, the fact that you have a jury of your peers is really important, and I hate how our system doesn't support it. I don't get paid. I have to take time off of work. If I don't have vacation time, I could just literally not get paid. It's really poorly supported. That's one of the problems with it, not the jury of peers. So I don't want to avoid it. Like, I know that I could. I'm smart enough. I could get out of jury duty if I'd like to get out of jury duty. But the problem with it is I don't want to get out of jury duty. I want it to be supported really well. I want it to be one of those integral things where you're taken care of. That's what I would like to see. So I don't want to get out of it because that's not my goal. I think it's a really great thing that, 200, 300 years ago, you didn't get. So yeah. Anyways, I know that you were just joking, and I get it. I get it. But yeah, I just wish our system supported it better. But, oh well. Anyways, I need to get going. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for the news. I hope that you found it fun, entertaining, and informative. We will be doing the news next week, but after that, we will be doing it probably Friday at lunch. That's like 85%. If we had an AI, it would be saying Friday at lunch. But there's no AI for this yet. Have a fantastic rest of your guys' weekend. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you guys next week for fun, entertaining things.